Hello and welcome to PiscesMoon Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Kait Leonard, and I'm excited to explore the stars with you. Hi everyone. We are talking about the week of October 13th through October 19th. Get ready, 'cause spooky season is surely here. Most of you know that I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to the new moons and full moons, at least not in this podcast. It's not that I don't pay attention to them, but they happen every month, and we all pretty much know what to expect and how to navigate through those energies, which are for the most part really, really positive. Until now, perhaps, I'm going to be talking this week about the full moon on October 17th, and I'm calling this the full moon with teeth. Although, honestly, it would probably be better to call it like the full moon with a fire starter or maybe a knife, because guess who's involved in a T-square, which is a very difficult aspect with the sun and the moon. You got it if you said psycho killer Mars. Exactly. Oh my gosh, we've got so much to talk about. Okay, let's start with the details first. Just a refresher for those of you who are newer to astrology and just kind of getting your feet wet and all of this stuff. A full moon always involves the opposition of the sun and the moon. That's what makes it full, right? A new moon is when they're together. A full moon is when they are opposite each other. This full moon goes exact at right around 4 a.m. Pacific time on the 17th. So we're going to be feeling this energy all week long because it's that kind of full moon. And it's also going to be tapping into some of the energy we've already been dealing with, but I'll get to that in just a minute. So we've got the moon in Aries, we've got the sun in Libra, and we've got Mars squaring both of them. That's making a difficult aspect to both moon and sun, and Mars is in Cancer. So let's start first with the sun and the moon. An opposition is a more difficult aspect than, say, a trine or a sextile, which has a gentler flow to the energy, right? This is opposition, and that's exactly what it sounds like. When you're opposed to somebody, that's not the happiest, friendliest place to be, right? But like I said, this happens every single month. It's not a big deal. If we think about, it's not a big deal. That's not exactly right. It's a big deal, but it's one we're used to. If we think about what the moon represents, it's our inner truth, our inner world. It's emotions, it's our habits, it's what we need to keep us comfortable. It's our bodies. And then we think of the sun, which is how we shine out in the world, right? It's that outward expression of our soul, who we are when we're standing in the spotlight. So when the two luminaries are in opposition, what we're being asked to do is find a balance between these two energies. How do we find a way to balance those inner needs, those gentler, softer, more emotional parts of ourselves with the outer needs, our need to be seen and heard and understood out in the world? So it's very, very important that we look at what signs this opposition is taking place in. It's always important, you guys. I cannot stress this enough, that whenever we're talking about planetary energies, you really need to look at your birth chart and see where these things are hitting your own natal chart, because that's the area of life where you're going to be feeling these energies most directly, where you're going to really see this stuff play out. Look and find out, where's Aries? Aries is the me. Take care of me, my needs. It's the individual. Where is Libra? That's the other, in the sense of making sure that other people are well and comfortable and getting their needs met. The moon and the sun are really asking during this full moon that we try to find balance. This is a theme we've been going through a lot recently. If you want evidence of that, go back and listen to some old episodes of this show, but this is not a new theme for us, but it's a big time this week. But with a flashbang kaboom sort of flair thrown into it. The sun and moon opposition is more the kind of energy of like finding a balance, finding a middle ground, or that Buddhist concept, of the middle path, right? But right now, for this full moon, we are getting what's called a T-square. And like I said, that's the opposition. And then a third planet, in this case, Mars, that's making angles, right angles. That's that hard angle to each of the other planets. Okay, so Mars is squaring the moon, Mars is squaring sun. Squares are the hardest angles in the sky. So, what does this mean? It means that this is going to be more of that fiery energy we've been feeling. And can I remind you guys, at least my listeners, please, 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 do me the favor, stop blaming the eclipses for all of the chaos going on right now. I promise you, it's this Mars Sun square that's been moving into position for quite a while now. I've been warning you guys about this one. It's fire on fire in a square. Mars is in Cancer, where he's not particularly happy. And so this is just hard. Okay, it just is. It's just hard. There's no way getting around it. All of that energy that we've been going through, and I think I talked about it last week, but I keep getting emails, texts, phone calls, all kinds of messages about people getting fevers, breaking up, breaking things, all kinds of stuff. I shared with you last week about my own burns and setting my kitchen on fire and stuff like that. So that's that energy. And now we were already in that, right? The Mars square, the sun kind of energy has been going on for a while. So one of the reasons that I think it's really important to talk about this, because like I said, I'm not going to go over all the old stuff, but we've been in this energy. And the problem is we're not done. We are so not done with this Mars energy. So I already talked a little bit about what the sun and the moon mean. Anyone who works with me at all, just ask any of my clients. They will verify this. I always say that Mars, I don't believe in a bad planet. There are theories out there about Mars being the lesser malefic and Saturn being the greater malefic and all of that. I don't buy it. I do not buy it. I think there are more serious planets that can bring up some of the harder lessons in life, but I don't believe in a bad planet. Mars rules two signs. He rules Aries and Scorpio. What would that mean? That everybody born in 2/12 of the year are born under a cursed planet or something? It just doesn't hold water with me at all. But I will say that there are two sides to every planet, and Mars is extreme. We either get, he's the warrior god, right? So we either get the noble warrior who fights for a just cause and is out championing. I don't even know how to say that word. Championing. I can't do it. You get what I mean. For the downtrodden and the, people who need support and all of that sort of thing. Or we get the psycho killer. Okay. And I think it's only right that for spooky season, you guessed it. We're kind of getting the psycho killer Mars. All right. He's not happy in Cancer. I've already said that. But it's just, and he's in these tense aspects. We're not getting the noble warrior. That's all I got to say. So, with all of that sort of prep work done, let's talk about it. Fiery Mars squaring off with our moon. This is emotional pain. This is hurt feelings. This is feeling burned by somebody. You know that expression? I think there's expression like that. So this is that, right? This brings the possibility that we are going to be really emotionally raw during this week. I wish I could say others. You know me, I do not like to dwell on the more challenging things, but it's always true, and I'm probably going to repeat this a couple of times during this episode, that if we work with the energy and we know what's coming and we're prepared to learn the lessons of the energy, it hits us less hard. It doesn't hit us as hard. You can tell I'm having some word issues today. Sorry about that. I'll do my best. But just be aware that we are going to be feeling raw. We are going to be feeling kind of like our nerves, what is that? Are inflamed, right? That's what this is. Mars is flame, and the moon is our feelings. So think of your nerve endings all inflamed. That's a little bit what it's going to be. So what do we do? Right? So big deal. Now it's really terrible. Yay, Kate. Thanks for sharing all of that. What the heck do I do about this? Take care of yourself. Take care of your feelings and your own needs, right? There's going to be stuff, depending on where this hits in your chart, that's probably coming from outside of you, right? This flame is probably coming from some outside source. So you have to be especially careful to take care of you. This involves things like getting enough rest, doing things to pamper yourself, maybe even so that it just feels good to be in your own skin. This is bubble bath time and, extra rest, read a good book, whatever it is for you that just makes you kind of do a little bit of, I got this, right? A little bit of that emotional recharge. Okay. Also, avoid inflammatory things. So for me, it's sugar. I'm Taurus rising. That's a Venus ruled sign. Venus rules sugar, sugar cravings, all of that kind of stuff. And boy, howdy, do I have those things. But sugar is highly inflammatory, right? So it would be really good for me, for example, to go light on the sugar this week and not add inflammation to my system. Whatever yours is, whether that's gluten or alcohol or some recreational drugs, whatever it is. And no judgment here. Hey, mine's sugar, you do you, but maybe don't do you this week. You get what I'm saying? The other thing I'm advising people to do that I'm working with independently as clients is practice the count to 10 rule. Before you burst into tears, if you have to cry, cry. You're going to cry. You'll probably cry. Let me just say that, okay? But if possible, when somebody's getting on your nerves, when you're feeling yourself getting all jangled and you're starting to feel like, you might be feeling also like you're going to explode a little bit, right? Count to 10. I mean, really, this week you might have to count to 110, but do some counting, give yourself a little minute to take a breath, collect yourself, and before somebody says something and then you take it in the most personal way and you're dreadfully hurt and you strike out, now they're dreadfully hurt. Because remember, that other person, they're dealing with the same aspect that you're dealing with, right? We're all under this same sky. Now, it can be hitting us in different areas of the chart, but we are all feeling this, and this is big energy. Even though it's going to hit most directly in whatever houses these planets are in, it's going to bleed over. And I do mean that word bleed in that, Mars rules cutting and stabbing and stuff like that. I'm not saying you're getting stabbed. I didn't say that. I just metaphorically, you know what I'm saying? All right. Now let's bring the sun into the picture. Remember, the sun is the outward expression, right? The moon is our inner self and the sun is our outer self. And so sun, who's also fiery, yeah, goes without saying, is also squaring this psycho fiery Mars, right? So again, while we're getting all hurt and sensitive and whatever it is, the likelihood that we are going to lash out really high, really high. So yeah, rein it in. Again, it's that count to 10, count to whatever, walk away. Tell people, you know what? I need to process this and I'm going to get back to you. You know what I mean? Give yourself the out. It doesn't matter. I love it that when I say these things, like the other person's just passively going, oh, okay, you need a break. No, it won't go that way. They may lash out at that. You know, that frustration when you're trying to say something really heated to someone and they're like, I'm just going to go in the other room now. You know that one? Or, or maybe if you're not me, it doesn't affect you that way, but it affects me this way, right? It's like, darn it, what do you mean you're going in the, I've got something to say, right? I get it. And it's, yeah, none of this is easy to navigate. But if you can, and somebody's unloading, instead of then you unloading back at them or you bursting into tears and falling into a puddle on the ground, if you can count and then say something like, you know what, I think I want to let this cool down a little bit and I'm going to get back to you tomorrow or whatever it is. They may scream and shout, walk away. Walk away, okay? You can't. Well, in some cases you can, and if you can do, and if you can't, then you can't. And that's all there is to it, and we have to be gentle on ourselves. The other thing that I'm advising people is with the people you're close to, make an agreement. Talk to them about this energy and say, let's make a deal. Just make an agreement with them that if things start to get heated, you are going to go to separate corners and get back to each other in a day. And if things get said before you can get out of the room, you're going to make special effort to forgive each other. Just try to be upfront and honest, especially if you have the kind of woo-woo friends that are also listening to astrology. They'll get it. They know what a T-square is. Okay, now another thing that I did want to point out about this T-square is the lunar nodes, the north and south nodes, are in the signs of the moon and the sun. They're not in any kind of exact relationship, but the north node is in Aries, where the moon is, and the south node is in Libra, where the sun is. And where the nodes go, destiny goes. So that's another thing that's adding a lot of weight to this full moon. Like I said, this is not just that full moon we go through every month where we all do some kind of a gratitude ceremony or releasing something that we don't need any longer. This is much, much weightier than that, okay? And if anything gets released, it's going to be because it gets metaphorically burnt up by Mars, right? So it'll be a much more dramatic kind of release. And with the, not but, with the nodes there, it does mean that there's a sort of karmic shift that's happening during this time. So whatever is getting burnt up, let's say we have a breakup that we can't repair during this time, then that breakup was truly meant to be. And we need to really understand that and accept it. I'm not in any way saying that it will be easy, and I'm not saying that everybody's going to go through a breakup. It depends on your natal chart, you guys. It depends on your natal chart. But let's say you quit a job, you end a relationship, you give up on an art project, whatever it is, it's going to depend on where it is in your chart. But whatever thing that would be, it would be for the best in the long run. Because of this tense energy, it doesn't mean it'll be easy, but it'll be one of those things that when we look back on it, we'll be glad. We'll see that we grew from that process in a way that really, really helped us. Okay, so that's the silver lining here that I want everybody to hold on to. The nodes are involved. This whole process, we're going to be learning about ourselves. We're going to be learning how to stay grounded. We're going to be learning how to express our emotions in non-combative ways. We're going to be learning self-care. And then whatever fallout, because I promise you there will be some fallout. It's not going to all be like I learned a new yoga pose and now I'm super centered, okay? I'm telling you. But whatever it is, eventually you are going to be glad and you are going to see how you grew from it. Think about forest fires. Have you ever heard that thing that actually forest fires to a point. I'm not talking about arson and stuff, okay? I'm talking about natural forest fires that happen once in a while, that they do bring that area that's been burned into an ecological balance. So they burn away, what's dead and decaying. And there are actually seeds, like, I don't know if it's acorns, it might be acorns, but anyway, there's some things that because of the heat, they're actually able to grow or something. You know what I'm talking about. Forest fires in some situations can bring about a kind of ecological balance. And that's going to be the same thing with us. What gets burnt away during this fiery time is going to be for the good and to help move us along our paths in this lifetime. Now, I'm pretty sure at this point you've had enough of Mars and enough of this square stuff and T-squares and all of that. And I know what it's like to be the messenger of this sort of thing. So I'm pretty sure you probably had enough of me too, but I just want you for another couple of minutes, I promise. I just want to give you this heads up that when I said we are not done with this Mars energy, I really mean it. We haven't even hit the peak of the mountain yet. We're not even at the pinnacle. Mars is getting ready to almost immediately go into a perfect opposition with Pluto, god of war, god of the underworld, in opposition. That is going to happen on November 1st. This one is really important because Pluto, who will never be in Capricorn again in our lives, he takes about, I think it's 240 something years to go around. So we will never see this again. And a planet in that last degree, the 29th degree, is his most active because it's like, oh, I'm not coming back here for a long time. I've got to get my work done. Capricorn is about systems, structure, especially old structures. It's about government. It's about a lot of things. So Pluto is in there trying to transform the structure of whatever house Capricorn occupies in your chart. Mars is going to oppose him. So it's going to be the depth of Pluto opposite the fires of Mars. And it is going to be tense and life-changing. It will be transformative because Pluto is deep transformation. And just to add the cherry on top, Mars is usually in a sign for about 40 days. He's going to spend 6 of the next 8 months in Cancer because of a retrograde cycle. And because of that retrograde cycle, he is actually going to oppose Pluto 3 times. So, heads up, we will definitely be talking a whole lot more about that in weeks to come. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. I hope that's helpful. Remember what I said. Lean into it. Know what's coming and work with the energy. The more you can accept the lessons and work with it and just actively grow from what's going on, the less it kind of has to beat you over the head, right? Like there are cosmic lessons to be learned and we can go gently or we can fight. And it's probably going to go badly for us if we fight because it's the god of war that we're dealing with. So thank you all so much. Please do all the stuff. Please come follow Pisces Moon on Instagram. I'm Pisces Moon on Substack, and that's a really good place. We have a little conversations going over there. It's totally free. It always will be. I promise you that. And please share all the stuff and like all this stuff and leave me comments. It would be really helpful. And I am so grateful. And just for listening to this, thank you. I truly appreciate all of you. And until next week, go out and seize the energy of the stars. This is my wish for you always, even this week. Oh, and be on the lookout for another little mini episode on the U.S. Election Day astrology. So until next week, bye.